There are key revenue measures that needs to be considered. Labram Musa is the Executive Director for the Vision for Alternative Development, and Geoffrey Okante is the Executive Director of Revenue Mobilization Africa. They're joining us also on this conversation. Labram, let me start off with you. Quite a lot happening in Parliament today, but you are much more concerned also about the revenue measures. Why is that of concern to you?
Yes, thank you very much for having us. Indeed, let me say that I'm not a happy person.
Right.
Because the whole focus about the bill in Parliament currently is geared towards revenue mobilization, But indeed, it goes beyond that.
Right.
Our focus, as we speak here today, is on the Excise Duty Amendment Bill 2022, currently before Parliament.
Yes.
And when you look at the bill very well, it looks at it's more like a health promotional bill, But all this while, as I mentioned earlier, the focus has been on revenue mobilization. But we are looking at the public health, perspective of that particular bill.
And what's your utmost concern on that?
Well, so our concern with that is that you see, there's a lot of consequences or adverse effects of these health-harming commodities, tobacco, alcohol, unhealthy commodities like sugar-sweetened beverages. And over the years, the public health community, WHO, UNDP, and even including Ghana, we have advocated, and there are positive, consequences with respect to taxing, such commodity. Just so you see, we are able to reduce the untold, health consequences that currently before the country and even global at the global level. You and I know very well that non-communicable disease is on the rise, and no country is able to contain such disease conditions. And these disease conditions are basically from these commodities I've mentioned. There have been major risk factors for non-communicable diseases that we are currently struggling with. Our healthcare system cannot even cope with these diseases, the cancers, the cardiovascular diseases, the heart diseases, the hypertension, the strokes. All of these are coming from these, these commodities. We are not saying that it should be banned, but currently, as I speak to you, the prices of these commodities are very, very, very cheap in the market, and very accessible. So it's more like everybody can just accommodate and buy. So we are saying that the government should put some percentage of taxes on this. These taxes, we call them health promotional taxes. So the call for us is, the industries are speaking. I mean, the industries that are promoting this commodity are speaking of the fact that government should suspend, this bill. What we are saying that for us, we are coming from a public health perspective, and the fact that we needed to ensure the extent to which people are exposed to these products are one too many, and that government should up the price.
All right. We'll talk about what the alternative should be, but Geoffrey, we're not in normal times. Parliament would have to consider these three key revenue measures just to help us sail through with the IMF conditionalities. So why not back that process in Parliament?
Well, exactly. So from the revenue angle, that is why we came together to work together, because it has three-faceted approach to it. Because you look at the health hazards, like the NCDs, like he's talked about, these are not curable diseases. Remember during COVID, when the president, every time president spoke, he said persons with underlying diseases. And these sweetness are the ones that causes these underlying diseases. And so majority of the persons who actually we lost were these persons who were within that bracket. Now, when you go to the economic aspects of it, labor is affected, because the argument of industry is that they are creating jobs. Ironically, these same persons who've gotten their jobs consume this product, and even their dependents, children, as very, very young children. Now you go to the sick bays, you see children as young as 12, 14, 15, having stroke and other non-communicable diseases. So it actually has something on the labor force, and even when it affects the worker, and unfortunately you lose the worker, as in death comes in, that's the highest point. The dependence of that worker becomes exposed to the crisis we are talking about. So at the end of the day, you go to the health budget of the country. You need, NCDs are very expensive to manage. So it's even not covered under the National Health Insurance budget. Okay, so apparently you have this huge budget which is hanging on your health allocation, which you are not able to actually pay for. So you are getting a space here to charge automatically by the World Bank and all global bodies like WHO. Research has shown that countries that has applied such, we call it the sin taxes, on these sin products like sweetened beverages, tobacco and the rest, alcohol and the rest, the automatic point is when you put the taxes on them, it generates revenue, not for the benefit of it to go and spend largely, but then it actually gives you the space for you to actually manage these diseases which you are having difficulty to manage. The next thing is about accruing these monies also to do one thing which is very important when you are dealing with such products.
Okay.
You are seeing products on the market. The most dying point of it is that there are even fake of such products
on the market.
On the market.
Yeah.
So actually, the sugar sweetened beverages actually are causing their mess, and there are other ones that you need to monitor.
Right. But even as we speak, the argument is that we've advanced in terms of what it is that Parliament will be doing today. We're expecting that the votes will be taking on these revenue measures.
Right.
Is it too late to get these inputs on, or you believe that later on that could be done? Labram?
Well,
okay.
As of yesterday, Labram did a wonderful thing by sending some messages that we tweeted and actually used the social handles to get to the MPs and then the voices around some of those political figures to ensure that they get to understand that our argument has three-faceted points as to concrete around the health issues, the economic benefits of it, and then actually the last one I was going to talk about is monitoring and regulation.
Okay.
Actually, when you need to monitor the markets and everything and ensure that even these products that are coming, that we have to call them sin products, that even other ones, I don't know how to call the next degree of it, if even of course the sweetened one, the natural sweetened one on the right from the factory is even killing enough, then the ones that are fake that you can imagine, and you've seen the videos, I mean, from other countries where people just make some infractions and call it the Coca-Cola or malt you are drinking, but it is not actually the original one. So that means you need to regulate and monitor. Smuggling becomes the open space for other operations. So to do all these three, you need the monies. You need to, and how to get this money is actually to put this excise taxation in place to regulate the consumption.
Okay, Labram, the business community already complaining about the likely impact of this bill on doing business itself. What's the alternative, since your organization deals with that?
So let me just say that it's wholly untrue that taxes on these commodities will affect them. Because research, indeed, we did a lot of research.
You have the figures to back what you're claiming.
Research has been done to show that when you increase prices on these commodities, what it does is that about three things. It's indeed it reduces the extent to which people are exposed to these commodities. So it means we are going to reduce non-communicable diseases. But again, it also increases revenue. But the point is this: no matter even the increase in price, because of the addictive nature of this product, tobacco is addictive, alcohol is addictive. So the addictive nature of it makes it, untrue when they said it will reduce,
but these products have been with us since. Why now?
Yeah, the point, it's not about it has been with us now.
Yeah.
The point is that there has been, horse every now and then, every budget year we've been making, this kind of proposal for government to listen. I mean, it has taken us for since 2015.
Okay.
Since government, levy or put taxes on, especially on tobacco products, for about 10. Since 2015, 3 years now. Yeah. So you can imagine with inflation and so the prices.
That'll be less than 10 actually.
Yeah. So the point is that the industry should also look at they should look at business alone. They should look at the health consequence that it has on individual and the fact that when prices are increased, it doesn't reduce their profit. Rather, government got more revenue. It reduces the healthcare cost of the ministry, and then, like my brother said, you're able to compensate those who will still drink or smoke because. Indeed, no matter the level of increment you have on this product, consumption would reduce, but to a very small minimum. But revenue would increase, and government, and then the industry also get their fair share of their commodities. So they should stop talking about the fact that when we increase price on this thing, it will affect their businesses. The point is that there are alternatives. So we are calling them to go for alternatives. We knew that when COVID-19 struck, for instance, we saw what the industry did. They were able to revert or convert to the production of other, products. Right. So the point is that there are other, life-saving.
Yeah, but let's try and identify those alternatives. Because if you don't identify the alternatives, obviously you're going to be stifling the business community.
What we are saying that the point is that we should put something in context. We are not talking about banning a commodity.
Yes.
We are talking about, putting a tax on it.
It will still affect business.
So the point
economically speaking, that there will be an adverse impact.
See, that's why I'm saying that it is not wholly true.
Right.
Because the point is, the industry would have, I mean, the chance whether to, to put all the taxes on the individual.
Right.
For us, it's good for us because then the individual will now determine whether to, to drink or to smoke or not to. But if the industry decides to absorb the, the differences, then that will have an impact on them, and it will affect us because the extent to which people reduce consumption will still not be as. But many countries, Nigeria here, they've imposed taxes on this commodity. Kenya. So the point is that we are not living in an island.
Right.
We must toe the line of of the recommendation given by the WHO, by ECOWAS, and then by well-meaning entities like UNDP.
Geoffrey, let me bring you in. The minorities is already giving us an indication of where they may stand on these new revenue measures. Are you not deterred that may derail the essence for which you are pushing?
Sardonically, their stance has to do with the argument that the Ghanaian citizen is already overburdened with taxes already. But again, we are actually calling on them to look at it from the angle of the health hazard. And also the fact that the economic argument, there is a counter, very gentle, humble argument from our side to tell them that, yes, the economic side is that you're looking at the fact that you don't want to overburden the budget. But the overburdening of the budget is also as a result of the NCDs we are talking about. The government need excess money to go and manage. So when you take this excise one...
I'm sorry for cutting through, but have you put a cost to it as to what the benefits may be if we go through?
To start with, when you go through the Ministry of Health budgets, they do not separate the cost of NCDs alone to stand. So for you to go and just pick that figure
from
and just support it with your argument. So it's very difficult to get to that one. But there is a global outlook as in persons who die as a result of NCDs. And as you and I know, one life cannot be valued. So that's where we take from the human rights angle. So nobody must die because of profits. So we cannot change human lives for profit. So for example, the corporate interest, we cannot put the corporate interest and profit beyond the human rights argument, because the truth is that, and even when you go to the corporate arena, you look at labor, their own labor force is affected by the consumption of these products. I mean, sweeteners are not for only children.
Right.
Even people who drink the whiskeys and everything, they use Coca-Cola or something else. And you see, the danger point of this thing is that it has a long killing point. So your consumption today stretches for about a year or 2 or 5 for you to be affected. And when we are talking about listing them, it affects the whole range. Adults, middle-aged youths, and then children. Unfortunately, as we speak, the most pressing argument is that when you take the 3 points, the economic angle, we clearly posit to you that by the global standard, locally, and the continental, there's evidence enough to show that countries that went by taxing these sugar-sweetened beverages have, 1, been able to reduce consumption, 2, they've been able to have been able to get some income, not for profits, again, to 1, manage the diseases. So you see, when we look at the income, we are not looking at income as in we want to generate revenue for the country, as in one point of, for example, doing some business to get money. No, but we are looking at generating the money to go and look at the loophole and the carnage that has been caused by the consumption of these products. So we are going to solve a problem. It's not like a plus, but then a negative which is already drawing us down. If you don't put these taxes on it to reduce consumptions and generate monies, you cannot get the money to, 1, cure the disease or manage them. In fact, the word cure doesn't even come in there because NCDs are not curable. You need to go and manage those diseases. And then finally, like smuggling and then monitoring of this product, you need to be very careful about it. Because the funny thing is, majority of them that sips through the borders, you need to clamp them down. And the danger is that the points through which these goods are actually prolified, that's the same place where proliferation of arms and other dangerous substances.
The concern is your concern about public health, and these matters are not economical. So the fact is that, well, you can manage the diseases, you can manage the conditions, but what's happening to the average Ghanaian in terms of the economic challenge that we find ourselves in now?
But you see, there was an argument.
There was
a help I was coming
to have the health conditions with that, and then let the concerns
about businesses. I forgot about that
also
side of your point.
Yeah,
excellent one.
Right.
You remember before COVID, Kasapreko was not producing sanitizers, right?
Yeah.
But when COVID set in, the alternative appeared that they needed to veer into. So when you go to the write-ups of the WHO, they've made provisions for alternatives that you could do when you are actually slapping down on this tobacco, alcohol, and sweetened beverages. Now, the other thing is, even the beverages you're talking about here, there are very natural juices, I mean, that do not have the sweetness, okay? And then, if that is the argument, that the discussion, then, but these are sweetened beverages. These are health killers. So they are dangerous substances. You know, so there's a direct correlation between those substances and then the NCDs. So as we close down, we're only calling on the honorable members that, look, it's a wonderful thing to think about the overburdened Ghanaian when it comes to the cost you're looking at placing on it by the excise taxation. But look at the other side of it, that one NCD patient, you cannot manage that person, but we have lots and lots of them as a result of consuming these sweetened beverages. So it's our clear on call.
Let's look at the way forward. LeBron, we're expecting Parliament to sit on that. We don't know what the outcome will be, but how far have you gone in engaging stakeholders, even beyond Parliament as well?
Indeed, I must say that even prior to, in fact, we were among the reason why, you know, the Ministry of Health, you know, have to, you know, I mean, kind of, propose this to Parliament. In fact, there has been a lot of engagement, even beyond even Ghana. WHO has been involved. UNDP has been involved. You know what I'm talking about when I mention these entities? That means that they have done a lot of research work to know that indeed, when a country is able to impose such taxes on this product, is going to go a long way to support, you know, and indeed, some members of Parliament have been engaged. I know that, for instance, the Health Committee of Parliament, for instance, have been engaged. But the challenge that we have, you see, this is a bill that has to do with taxation, right? So it is within the confine of the, you know, of the Ministry of the Finance Committee of Parliament, you know. But we are engaging, and we have engaged copiously to ensure that at least we are able to get support. The point for us is, I don't think that they have looked, the entire membership of Parliament have looked critically about the bill we're talking about, the excise duty bill, and the benefit that is coming to us as a people, as Ghanaians, and even at the global level. So we are pleading with our members of Parliament to look at the evidence, look at the public health arguments, and not industry argument or industry profits, because that is going to spell doom for the country. Because let me tell you one thing: currently, the rate at which people are dying in Ghana for non-communicable diseases is about 9,400 people. 94,000. Let me put it. 94,400 people are dying for non-communicable diseases each year in this country alone. Globally, about 71 million people are dying. So it means that the issue is not as we are seeing, and there's so much growing, you know, obesity amongst our children as well, overweight among our children, and there's so much complication with respect to,
okay, so we can save some money, raise some money, whilst we deal with the health conditions. 3-1, correct?
Right.
We can do all of that.
If we commit to it, that's the three we can do. But I think you were also asking what we've done so far. We did with some meetings with government agencies, like you mentioned. We also met the Select Committee on Health.
Right.
We actually also met the CSO community, including the media. But this issue is about protection of the rights of the Ghanaian and our rights to live, our common rights. Then, when you are finished with the local health targets, you look at the WHO conventions that we have signed on to those protocols to protect the Ghanaian.
Okay.
To achieve that, we all must come on board and accept that we need to clamp down, reduce consumption, get some money to manage the diseases that will come as a result of consumption,
and then we get some to
regulate
save the economy.
The market.
Okay. Labram, Geoffrey, thank you for joining us. Still on revenue mobilization, there's a lot.